Well, hello, dear listeners and dear viewers, to another episode of the Global Advocate Career Podcast. Today, I have the pleasure of introducing and interviewing a dynamic couple that you need to know, Daniel Danielson and Josephine Webb. Welcome, guys, to the Global Advocate Career Podcast.
Hey, thanks for having us.
Oh my gosh, how exciting. This is like my first time interviewing a couple.
Oh,
And
Sure.
pretty high-end couple at that, high octane. I mean, you guys are phenomenal. How are you both? Where are you both right now?
we're on the north of Long Island, New York.
Okay,
Yeah,
great.
and a sweet little town called Seacliff. They call it the Enchanted Village by the Sea.
Yes,
off the Long Island Sound.
gorgeous. Yeah, great. Well,
I
I'm
love it.
so excited. Can I read a mini bio on both of you?
Sure.
Please. Yeah.
Daniel Danielson is an American actor who made his television episodic debut as a guest starring on the 12-15 Golden Globe award-winning Best New Show hit Mr. Robot alongside with Rami Malik. Daniel began his career as an extra in the movie Annie, which starred Oscar winner Jamie Foxx, and in theater when he was cast as Reverend Nightingale in the suffrage movement. And then he was co-starred as Johnny in the theater production of Ain't Nothing Like the Love of a Black Man.
Amen.
Daniel, amen. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. He was then cast as core background in the CBS drama Blue Bloods, working daily alongside Emmy winner Tom Selleck. Daniel is currently cast as Dr. Lucien Brevil, a witty assistant principal in the web series Department of Ed, and plays Senator George in another web series, Banker's Madness. Daniel has demonstrated his versatility by appearing in numerous commercials on screen, as well as performing voiceover work in student films. Josephine Webb was born and raised in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania.
Excuse me, can I interject?
Absolutely.
It would be Josephine Webb Danielson.
Thank you very much, Josephine Webb Danielson.
It's new, so.
Thank you for that clarification. Everybody, you better remember that. Josephine Webb Danielson was born and raised in Philadelphia, right? And has been professionally modeling since the age of 16 for bride and trade shows, fashion showrooms, print catalogs, and magazines. She has worked for numerous clients throughout her career, such as Estee Lauder and Black Opal. Internationally, she has modeled on the continent of Africa, Canada, Belize, and the Bahamas. Josephine, how am I doing so far?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. As an actress, she has worked in film, soap operas, and television productions such as Orange is the New Black, Deuce, Pose, and more. In 2017, she and Daniel sat down and created the series Mr. and Mrs. Jackson from an idea that Josephine came up with, which they both ended up writing, creating, directing, and starring in. Josephine currently serves as the B2B East Coast Regional Sales and Showroom Manager for fashion designer Nygaard, and a company which she has modeled for since 2000, and she is the mother of two, Trinity and Damaso. Welcome, Josephine and Daniel.
Thank you. I have to make one change.
Please.
Sorry, I didn't update. I'm now the B2B sales rep of our company, which is Trendstar. So I no longer work for Nygaard. I work for myself and my hubbies.
Okay, thank you. Thank you for that. And we'll look forward to hearing a little bit more about Trendstar a little later in the episode, right?
Okay.
But to start you both off, let's talk about where you are right now. Did either one of you ever envision that you would be where you are today?
No, when I think about it, I think that if someone would have told me 5 years ago, or maybe I moved to New York about 8 years ago. I had lived in New York a couple of times, but if somebody would have said, hey, move to New York and be an actor and a writer or whatever, that would have sounded really crazy to me. So no.
Yeah,
Okay.
same. I've been here for like half my life. I always say I'm half New York and half Philadelphia because I was born and raised in Philly, but I pretty much lived my whole adult life in New York. And yeah, I never really thought of the future. I'm the type of person that like just live by the minute. So, but this is pretty darn cool. I must say I'm happy where I'm at now.
That's awesome. Now, thinking about the bio that I just read from both of you, what was something that the bio didn't mention that you'd like folks to know about your background?
Well, so that's a great question. So the bio, interesting. So it's outdated, right? So to hear that's what I did, I was like, oh wow, the theater stuff, and it was like a short time ago, but it seems like a long time ago.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, we've been hustling in triple time. That's the beauty of New York, of course, other than any other place probably in the world. There's so much work that can be done. So we just really jumped in to take advantage of every opportunity that we could, because we couldn't do everything, but there's so many things to do. So with the bio, I think it just what it did really is reminded me of the feeling, that what it was like at those times, because I remember before I booked Mr. Robot, I was not getting work like I really felt that I should have been getting. And so I didn't know how or when it was going to happen, or like why I wasn't getting this work that I thought I was supposed to be getting. And then when I booked it, and the experience, because it's interesting too, because what you said about Rami, because he won the Emmy the next year, and then the Oscar the year after that. But on that day, I was in a situation where he kind of saved my butt, and he never spoke to me. He stood right next to me, but he never said a word to me. He spoke on my behalf to the director, and I'll never forget that. So that's sort of, I'm thinking about, wow, all those different experiences and how they got me to where I am today.
Yeah, well, tell us a little bit. I mean, now you're leaving me hanging. Tell us a little bit about that. Like, what was it that made him so instrumental in your career?
Well, so that role was a role of a correction officer.
I see.
And I didn't have an agent, I didn't have any representation, and that's a thing for actors. It's hard. It's very hard to get an agent. Everybody will say, "Oh, just get an agent," and then the agent will get you. Because when you don't have an agent, you don't
have access
to the major roles or major like network opportunities. Yeah. So you get more of the sort of non-union, medium scale budget kind of stuff. You don't even have the opportunity to audition for bigger TV roles or movie roles. So I was sort of stuck in that place. And this audition came up on Actors Access for a correctional officer with correctional officer experience. So the interesting thing was that normally those roles do not come up for us to see. They only come up for the agent to see. So for me to see the role, and I was like, wow. And I remember I passed it. And I just kept thinking, and I went back. So I put in my submission that I had 10 years corrections experience.
That's funny.
Yeah, it was a whole funny thing. So. And
how do you get that experience, Daniel? Let the audience know.
Yeah, I have 10 years corrections experience off and on. So when so I do the audition, like I'm all in. I know this character. I've seen it many times. I know what it is. I knew the scene. So the scene was a intake scene. I'm familiar with that. I know exactly what it was. So it really fit. So when I did the audition, they liked me. At Bowling, Michigan, they really liked me. So they tell me I booked the role. So we go in to shoot. We're in this jail in Queens. There's a jail that they use a lot for all of the Rikers Island sort of scenes. Right. And I go in to shoot the role, and the director, Sam Ishmael, he walks up to me and he's like, "So how long have you been a correction officer?" And I'm like, like, "Oh, I ain't no correction officer. I'm making it a joke." And he looks at me like, "What?"
Yeah.
Because one of the things about him in that show was they wanted everything to be authentic, because that show had a lot to do with the hackers, and everything needed to match, the language, everything. So when I told him I wasn't a correction officer, he was like, "What?" And so I noticed right away, and I was like, "Look, but I understand this scene, and I'm going to tell you there's some lines in the scene that's not correct."
Oh.
And he was like, what are you talking about? So there's a line where it says, lift your, your private parts and spread your buttocks. And I was like, look, on Rikers Island,
They don't say that,
they're
right?
not going to say that. So the weirdest thing was this guy comes around the corner. It's a correctional officer, big black guy.
He's a consultant, right?
Yeah, he was a real correctional officer.
Okay.
So he says, oh, no, because Sam says to me, well, what would he say?
Yeah.
Right.
I said, well, he'd say, lift your room and spread your room, And the guy comes around the corner and he says, oh, we would never say that. We could get sued for that. And I was like, what? Like, I've been on Rikers Island, man. You know that I'm not making this up, And I was like, wow. So now Rami comes and stands next to me. Now I'm kind of nervous now because Sam, I can see the director is kind of like, wait a minute. We hired this guy, but our consultant is telling us that he's not right. Yeah. So it comes to me, and I remember this in the audition, because I wrote it on my, when we're doing the, I usually have notes. When I'm doing an audition, I have notes on all of the stuff. So I wrote in the notes that there's something else missing in that scene that happens in that room is they ask you to open your mouth, and then they ask to see the bottoms of your feet. And that's not in the script. And so I told him, I said, well, there's another thing that's missing. He said, well, what? I said, well, you got to open your mouth and show the bottom of your feet. So the consultant guy says, oh, yeah, that's right. And Rami is right there. And he says, look, I like this guy. Let's go. And I was like, yeah, he got me out of that one. So
yes, he did. Now, that you basically seized the opportunity where you had an opportunity to do it. Josephine, how did you seize the opportunities when they came and were presented to you as a model?
Boy, it's kind of hard for me to talk on that because I had so many when I was younger and I was too young to understand that you have to take advantage of these opportunities. I try not to have any regrets because I like to think now that I can be of help to new people. But I finally became aware as I got older to, like, when they tell you to, like, when I was 16, Elite told me to shoot with this photographer. I lived in Philadelphia at the time. So the photographer was in New York. And I just didn't realize, Elite, you just don't get any bigger. And when they tell you to do something, you do it. Sure. You follow up. They could really change your life. And I just didn't. And then again, when I went back, the first time I went, I was 16. And that was a major lead. I should have followed through and I didn't. And then I went back at, I think, 19. And I was pregnant at the time with my son, but I didn't know. I was in the very early stages. And this, it was the first time, because actually I went back one other time, but because I used to go to open calls, I used to have them. And it was the first time that they took me in the back and they were like, oh, we love your work. And they scanned some photos of my book and they were like, we're going to put you on file. And we would like you to follow up. And I didn't because I was pregnant. So yeah, so it's just a lot of opportunities I kind of missed. But as I got older, I woke up, and if they told me to take braids out of my hair, I would do it. When I was younger, I was like, no, I just got my hair braided. And that's not how it works. You have to do what they tell you. And thank God, in my 20s, I had the best, most productive time in my life. Actually 30s was even higher. And when I was younger, I thought at 20, you stop modeling because I started so young. And they're like, oh, 20 is old. But please, the most work I got was in my 30s. I had magazine covers and I got to travel. So it was just like, yeah, that's not true.
So how did you fall into acting?
It's funny because when you model, you don't want to do acting because you're like, oh, I'm a model. And when my modeling agent got me an acting job background, I was really offended because as a model, you're the star, you're the focus. They're doing your hair and makeup. As a background actor, you're like, wait a minute, no hair, no makeup, like what's going on here? No attention. So I didn't like it, but I think I needed a filler for like income as I was getting older. And so I would start taking these background jobs and I joined the union. I've been a member of SAG for like, I think 14 years. So one day on set, I met this guy here, Blue Bloods. Funny he mentioned Annie was his first job because that was the first background job I've done with my daughter. They needed kids. And really? I remember they booked me first for a picture car. And I was like, hey, I didn't know it was for Annie, like the black version or whatever. So I was just like, do you need kids? I have a kid, So it was really cool because my daughter, it was her first time on set for Annie. So I didn't see Daniel though. But
well,
that
maybe he was there, but you didn't. Maybe he was there, but you didn't notice him.
Exactly.
No,
Well, it
no,
was a school
we
scene.
were in a different scene.
Yeah.
I was in
Yeah.
the scene in the Guggenheim.
He was in a gala. He was in the gala. I was in a family scene with my daughter, and I was also in my car, like a picture car scene. So yeah, I wasn't in that scene. But luckily I got to meet him on the set of Blue Bloods, and we have our own production now. So
Well, you must have seen my questions, because my next question was, well, how did you both meet?
Oh, look at that. So I'm ahead of them.
Yeah. So that was a fun day. That's a day I'll never forget. And I worked Blue Bloods. I got called by Blue Bloods. Like, I didn't submit for them. They called me, and I guess I fit the criteria, the height or whatever they were looking for.
Right.
And they were like, "Hey, listen, this is such and such for CBS. You know, we want to know if you are interested in being a core background dress uniform." And so I didn't really know what they were talking about. And I remember looking at the phone like, did she just say she calling me from CBS? Like, what the heck? So I'm listening, and they're asking me like, "Is it okay? Would you like to do this?" And I was just like, "Heck yeah." I didn't even know what it was. I was just like, yeah. They were like, "We're gonna fit you in the uniform," and so I on Blue Bloods, I would wear the dress uniform. I worked on the scene with Tom Selleck is on at One Police Plaza in the commissioner's office.
Right.
So we wear these dress uniforms. They're kind of the same uniforms they wear at like the funeral. They're formal uniforms. And so I did that really for about 3 years. So sometimes 2, 3, 4 days a week. That was just my regular, basically my day job right there. It was really great. Great
like
experience.
Core. You were Core. The funny thing is I was Core too, but as a detective. And so I was always in the precinct scene with Donnie Wahlberg, which was funny because as a kid, I was a huge New Kids on the Block fan. He knows that, I spoke of it. But anyway, so we were missing each other. We were both Core, but in different scenes. So finally one day they called us both in for Pedestrians. And so it was just so random and so weird because I'm very friendly. I talk to everyone on set. I just went to him. He was getting his tattoo covered, and I thought maybe he was like a lead or something. And he has that presence about him, you know. He's got that star presence. So I was just like, "Why are you getting that covered?" You know, just being nosy. And then he explained because the tattoos were like they covered it because of the artist. The artist need credit or something, so they just cover it. And so I don't know. It was just weird. We started to talk from there. Well, and again, I was friendly, but I didn't know I was going to fall in love with him.
We talked for the whole day. So
yeah, the whole entire day.
So during the day, we were just walking and talking, and we just talked all day. And then I like walked her to her car.
Oh yeah, that was really polite when you did that.
And then I went to Los Angeles. I had an audition.
Yeah, the next day.
Yeah, I had an audition with Columbia University, you know, for some role or whatever. And that role had a female in it. I think she was like selling weed or something. She saw whatever the role was, but at the end of the scene, they had a kiss. And I was just like, so I remember being in Los Angeles, and I'm like, I would like her to come and do it. Cause we were, I think maybe texting each other or whatever. Weren't. Yeah, we were, because I texted you from LA.
But he texted me about, I swear, I thought he was really, because I met so many people on set, I thought he was just being really nice because he mentioned this scene, and I thought, or this audition, and I thought, wow, this would be something different to add to my reel. And at the time I was building my reel because I really wanted to get more principal roles. So I was like, wow, a drug dealer. I was like, that sounds like a challenging role. And I thought it was fun. And I never kissed anyone on film. So I was like, well, it's good to have this for my reel. And so the funny thing is I thought it was totally innocent. And then I found out that it wasn't. On our wedding video, you announced on the microphone, you were like, oh, I planned that. I wanted to kiss her. And I didn't know that.
So you both said something that's very, how can I say, actors speak, but for those who are not actors, you mentioned core, that your roles were core. Can you just explain what that means?
Yeah, so core is like a regular. So you're a regular. So in this case, core were background. So background people sometimes call extras. We call it the term that we use at background, same thing as an extra. But in this case, in Blue Bloods or a lot in Law and Order, when there's, you know, if you're in the precinct, if there's a precinct scene, it's the same actors who are cops. So we all have uniforms. There's a bunch of us who, you know, we go back and forth between Law and Order and Blue Bloods. A couple of years ago, we were doing Deception. So a lot of the cop shows, we all have cop uniforms in the closet ready to go, and they'll say, okay, listen, we need you for Monday, Thursday, and Friday.
Which is rare. When you do background, you don't do the same job every day. You just don't. You'll do it once for the season. So when you're core, that means you're working it a few times a week, which he said is like a steady job. And that's a great thing when you're background, because you don't know when your next job is. So if you're like a steady background person, that's nice because you're getting a steady paycheck. Yeah. And we all want that.
So now in COVID, it's a little bit, it's 6 of one and 1/2 dozen of the other. So some people who are now core, they're really good in their set. Yeah, other people who work core don't have, now there's like
very few jobs.
It's either that you're core or you're not.
Or you're not working, basically. Yeah. So you definitely want to do core now, because that means you have work. But because they're not really, taking on new people, obviously they're not having a bunch of people.
Yeah, they've condensed everything.
So as seasoned actors, how are the characters that you play like you in real life?
For me, I don't think that, I wouldn't describe it that the characters are like me, but it's more that I bring some of me to the character. And I think that's what, through the lessons and through the years, I believe that's a lot what directors are looking for, especially with characters, New York City characters. A lot of times they really want New York City, to show naturally. Like, we don't want you to act like New York City.
Yeah, make it your own. Make the character, right?
Yeah, so in the scene, so I always happen to be, even though it might not seem like it now, but I always happen to try to throw in a little humor. Even with a mean character, I have a little snicker or a little something, just because that's part of who I am. I might have a little humor and some slick little thing that I might say. So I know in the New Amsterdam, that scene where it opens up with me and I'm a nurse, and the director was telling me that everything needs to, I'm really busy, and I'm just like, so I always try to bring a little bit of me into the character. I love playing characters though. I love it. I want the opportunity to really go as far as I can go with the character. So I love it.
I agree. Yeah. It's a lot of fun. Like, I even enjoy auditioning, because at least I get to challenge myself and be other characters, because a lot of times I'm not what they write. Right. So I try to, like you said, add a little bit of myself, but definitely become a totally different person. And with Daniel's, he even wrote a script, even though Mr. and Mrs. Jackson, I had a bit of the idea, he wrote it, and I felt I was nothing like the character he wrote. I felt like that. So it was fun for me, because I got to be sassy. I got to be different than what I am. Maybe it could be an alter ego of mine, but Jackson, I didn't think was anything like me. It was more Daniel.
Well, it's interesting. I did see Mr. and Mrs. Jackson. I loved it. And,
you were at the screening?
No, I wasn't at the screening, but I saw it on video. And what I really liked about it was how well you both gelled together, and it just felt like it was a part of going into a part of your life, in the sense of as a couple, right?
Yeah.
Now, clearly it was heavily New York City. I mean, I'm born and raised in New York City, so it was like, oh, I know where that is, and I know where that is.
Yeah.
But particularly when you're both texting to each other, and even the fight scene, you can see that you both really work well together. Oh, how was it working together 24/7? How was it as a couple?
It was quite challenging. It was fun, but it was hard because, oh my God, that fight scene was a hot day. It was so hot. Remember that?
Really? I couldn't even tell. You didn't look like you broke out in a sweat at all.
Whew, I was sweat. Do you remember that scene? And we had to remember the A, B, C, or whatever. We had these, what was it? For each move, we had a name for it. He taught me this because he took a stunt class. Mm-hmm. And so it was just hot. And then our photographer literally was all over us because it was a bridge. So he had to shoot from up above. He was literally in a car riding by on the highway, shooting us with his camera from down below. Daniel made sure he got every single angle. And I thought it was really cool because most web series are kind of flat. And
Yeah.
he made sure that it was three-dimensional. And I really appreciated that because even though it was pretty much ultra to low to no budget, we made it pop. We did our best, and it helped being on big like CBS films and big movies like Annie.
Sure.
It really helped watching. I mean, big productions have crews, and we had just 2 sets of eyes, and it was really hard to cover everything. Like when we were in Miami trying to film a scene in the water, which I can't swim, and we had to be playful and stuff, and he was trying to drown me, like his character, but it wasn't that funny. And it was late. We were trying to shoot it before the sun went down. It was such a crazy day. It was hard, but it was so much fun, and I'll remember it forever. And I look forward to doing more things like that together. He's working on a film now, but I'm not in it. Okay, I'm the production. I'm in the production. Which is
I
even
was
more
about to
cool.
say, Daniel,
like
why is she not? Why is Mrs.
I'm
Webb?
not in front of the camera, but it's kind of cool. I love being behind the camera also. Like this is really cool.
She's too pretty for this film. This
Well, thank you then. I'll take that.
This is an Alabama backwoods film.
Oh,
So-
it's a civil
Mississippi,
rights
actually.
Mississippi. Did you tell us about it? Tell us about your project.
Yeah, so Black Privilege, White Power is a
Mhm.
civil rights era film it's about the two leads. There's a young white female college student, Smith College student, wealthy, who decides to help Negroes who are being subjugated during the Jim Crow era. So she goes as a part of the Freedom Summer of 1964 and the Freedom Rise. She goes into Greenwood, Mississippi, the town that Emmett Till was tragically
brutally killed.
Wow.
So with that town has a lot of history of subjugation and dark treatment towards blacks. So this young affluent white woman goes into the town. She interacts with Fannie Lou Hamer, who is the other lead of the film. So we see, Fannie Lou's experience in Greenwood, and they protest. They work on establishing voting rights for the town's members who were being persecuted for trying to vote. So so it's sort of a play on words, Black privilege, white power. So there's really no Black privilege, but it was the white power that sort of helped the Blacks to gain this privilege of voting or whatever it was. But yeah, so we're excited about it.
Very excited, but I'm sorry, not to cut you off, but I love how humble he is, how he doesn't state the fact that the young white woman lead is his aunt. And that's why he was more so motivated to add her. I would think this story is about her, but then Fannie Lou Hamer is such an important person in history that a lot of Blacks don't even know about. I know I learned a lot through him.
Well, my aunt is cool. My aunt Posey, she like the Dodgers are doing a lot of stuff about her right now because my cousin, her middle son, is the first base coach of the Dodgers. Right. So they actually have a fund now in her name in regards to all of the protests, the Breonna Taylor and George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery sort of protests that have been going on, because this is very similar to what she was involved with so many years ago. It's emotional for me and for the family. She passed away in a car accident, in a tragic car accident, maybe 1985 or so. Also, in regards to Fannie Lou Hamer, being that she is so significant as an American hero, but knowing what we know in the film and entertainment business, I believe that if I wrote a movie about Fannie Lou Hamer, people would not be ready to accept that as much as they would if you put a white woman in the front of them.
Really? In this day and age, in 2020, you don't feel that it would be picked up as much as if it featured a Caucasian? That's because all this, all of the, what's the word? The diversity that we hear about is not as clear and concise as we would want to believe that it is. I was watching Ava's interview with Angela Davis, and one of the things that Angela was pointing out was that, these companies are creating these diversity and inclusion departments, and then they're bringing in African Americans to be the head of the department, which is all well and great, but the fact is they're not changing the system. So the system is still, what's the word?
Warped. So basically, you're just the face of it. See, we're adding blacks
in the same
but
system.
they're still the puppet masters.
You haven't changed
and we're
the
just
system.
the puppets. And so yeah.
For
You bring
example, with the film, with the screenplay of Black Privilege, White Power, I've had producers who want to purchase the screenplay, but they don't want to bring me in as the director of my own movie. So they'll take the movie and then change it to however they want, and, you know, and then put it out that way. But they won't bring me in to direct or finance the movie. So I've chosen to hold on to it. I'm not looking for an agent to sell it to anybody. I'm going to make the movie, and we're going to put it out the way that I say the movie should be put out. It's our story, and I'm going to tell it the way I'm going to tell it, not the way Hollywood wants me to tell it. I'm going to tell it the way I want to tell it. It's the story.
His words, and he wrote it, his experience. So it should be the way you envision it.
Well, it's our story. We need to be able to tell our story. I don't need you to tell me how to tell my story.
Absolutely, which is, we could have a whole episode on that alone, but it's really disconcerting, and it's also quite troubling to know that even in this day and age, with everything that's happening, there's still an effort to obfuscate our story.
Yeah.
And so kudos to you both for telling it the right way, and recognizing the challenges that are coming with it. But the fact that you're not giving up and that you're doing it is exemplary.
Thank you.
So kudos to both of you.
Thank you.
How has it been? Are you traveling soon to film?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so
this week.
So I've been to Mississippi twice. It was the first time in my life. We drove down the first time in July.
Yeah, not too long ago.
Yeah, so we drove from New York to Mississippi and back so we could scout out. We have the locations that are amazing in Greenwood. We didn't know that we were on Money Road. We did not even know we were on Money Road. So they were like,
Money Road? What's Money Road?
So Money Road at the Bryant grocery store is where Emmett Till first encountered the white woman who said that he touched her or whistled at her or something. I forgot what it was.
I think she said.
And they call it Money Road?
That's the name of the road,
Yeah. So we actually went to the location, the site where the store was, and we read the whole post. It was moving.
I mean, the fact that from what I understand and from what I've read, I believe they confessed, or the one survivor confessed.
Yeah, she's about 82 years old. Yeah, she said
that it was all made up.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So after I went back to secure some more locations, so we have this amazing jail cell that they're allowing us to use, and it's ironic because when I mentioned it to one of the guys that I met from down there, he's like, he said that's the one with the hanging chamber, and I was like, what? He was like, yeah, they got the hanging chamber in there. He said, I'll show you when you come. So I was like, oh,
how did he know about it?
Well, this is a small town, and they're aware of what took place in that town because it wasn't that long ago that they were burning and blowing up black businesses if you tried to vote, because the blacks were saying, okay, let's try, and they would get together every day to go downtown to try to vote. Mind you, you had to have the literacy test, and some of the blacks were passing the literacy test. Yes. The literacy test was set up so that they couldn't vote.
Yeah, so they wanted them to fail.
Yeah, the test is ridiculous. If you ever seen it, it's one thing historically our people should really take a look at. Just Google what the literacy test was and look at the questions. I think there's a article about how they gave the literacy test questions to a group of Harvard students, and they couldn't pass the test.
Wow.
So what's interesting is there were times where African Americans actually passed the literacy test. And
they still didn't get the fair shake, right?
Because they would burn their houses down. They would burn their jobs, anything they could do to stop you from coming to vote.
Any kind of upcoming.
Yeah.
It's just to keep them marginalized.
So you both are actors, background model, director, producing, designing. We're gonna get to that in a second. Do you consider yourselves activists?
I don't know. I wouldn't know. I guess we fit the definition of it. For me, I like to. I didn't go out and join the protest for a couple of reasons. One, just because during the pandemic, I didn't think that was physically a healthy thing to do. You know, with pre-existing conditions, I was not going to subject myself to that. But I also believe that my artwork, which is my script, is something that I can use in this day and age to continue to further the movement. So I want to educate our people, especially the younger generation, which is why I use the college student, because that's the generation I feel that we can sort of impact the most to get them to understanding. I think the biggest thing right now in this country is that we need to have a little bit more clarified understanding of who we are and where we came from. I know a lot of us are talking about reparations. I think that those are due, but I don't really see that the country would really want to do something like that. But in that same sentence, I just think that our people, we need to be honest about what took place so that we can move forward.
Honest and educated, because there's so many things we don't know because they're not trying to teach us. So you have to go out there and get the information on your own. I was fortunate that Daniel taught me so many things from his research, and you know, and I've been teaching my friends and family, and it's almost sad because we don't get this information in school. And like a lot of people just don't go out and do the research. Maybe they don't have time, or some people, you know, I don't know if they're in denial because of the past was so bad, and it's hard for some people to be accepting of what our people have gone through and still go through, but it's all sugar coated, but it's the same. It's very sad.
I agree. And the fact that whereas history is being clouded and how can I say, edited, there are efforts to further, how can I say, cloud it by saying another story. Mm-hmm. And so it's interesting that the stories that are coming out regardless of the efforts to suppress them.
Yeah.
So
thank God.
That's the truth.
They need to come out.
They need to come out. And I agree with you 100% on that. When is your release date for the movie?
So we're still looking at 2021.
Okay.
What we're shooting now this weekend will be the start of what we call a proof of concept. So the proof of concept is it's probably like a 17-minute version of the full feature, and it's more so used for, I mean, we may submit it to, you know, ABFF and Martha's Vineyard film festivals, but it's really more for investors. We have
to get producers, right?
Yeah, we have a few prominent investors who are interested. Again, the story is gaining traction. ESPN is talking about it. And you know, being on your podcast, it's amazing. So I'm sure we'll get more people to understand that this is an incredible story.
It's
so yeah,
relevant.
Yeah. So this right now is a proof of concept, which is more so for the investors. We believe that, you know, we've put out to the universe that we'll be back in Greenwood in April to shoot the feature film, and we will have it done, you know, by the end of 2020 and ready for 2021.
Yeah,
that's
it's not like a sizzle reel, or like for an actor it'd be your acting reel, for a model it'd be your portfolio. So it's to show producers, you know, this really great story wrapped up in 17 minutes. To say, hey, wouldn't this be amazing if it was a full feature film?
Sure.
So this is, don't forget, so this is also sort of, it's industry standard, but it's a tactic. It's sort of, we're taking the long road, because if we wanted to, we could have just sold the story for like $30,000, right? But if you buy the story for $30,000 and then you make the film and then you sell it to Netflix for 10 million, you know. So Halle Berry just sold hers.
I read
Netflix,
about that.
Yeah, for 20 million. A friend of mine sold his for 5 million. Another friend, Lingua Franca, she sold hers to Ava. I'm not sure what the cost was, but you know, that's airing on Netflix now. That's the sister Isabel Sandoval. You know, so our people, the people in our circle are selling movies. So we're selling the movie too.
We're next.
I see. Well, good luck with you on that.
Right.
So in addition to being writers and producers and directors and model and acting, you're also designers. Tell us about that.
Yeah, so Trendstar is Trendstar NYC is our clothing line. It's a women's streetwear line that we worked on for a couple of years after we saw sort of how the industry, me as a hustler, I saw sort of the opportunity of how the industry, construes fashion and the fashion line. So it starts with the fact that our culture sets the tone for fashion around the world. It's always been that way.
Fashion, music, sports. I would say our people
pretty much everything, right, Josephine?
What's that?
Everything.
Pretty much, yeah.
So
they're pretty influential.
So then you look at it from a business perspective or / hustler. I'm like, well, wait a minute. You guys are hustling us. You're taking us and then selling it to the world. So why can't we just sell our own self to the world and not, you know what I'm saying? But the system is sort of set up. It's sort of set up so that we directly are not able to benefit. Yeah. But we can, but we have to take this long road. But when we do, we benefit much, and we've seen the proof in stuff like Rockaware and
Dapper Dan,
House of Darion and stuff like that. We've seen it.
Ivy Park, right? Beyonce's doing her thing.
So
I would say it's he likes to call it streetwear. It's urban chic. It's I like to say that it's from 9 to 5. You can wear it in the office, and then you can go out to happy hour right after. My friend who just wore it, she said, hey, I can take my son to school and run errands with my sneakers on and the leggings, and then throw on a pair of stilettos and go to dinner and look good either way. So I like the diversity. I love that it's for every woman, and we're talking about every age range. My 15-year-old was rocking them, as well as my 70-year-old girlfriend. So it's like, hello, my mom.
And size. And size. Well,
we're still working on our extra small and extra large, but it's in production now.
Yeah, so I mean, you can check it out at www.trendstarnyc.com, and also on Instagram and Facebook is Trendstar NYC, something like that, _NYC or something like that.
Right now, I've looked at your website and I've been following Trendstar for a while.
Thank you.
What made you decide on featuring imprints of newspapers on your designs? Like, why did you choose that specific design?
Well, it's a nice design. It's a design that's popping. It's sort of in,
I think, do you not remember? It was like a pair of leggings that I liked from another brand. I liked it a lot. And he took it and made it what it is today. So I was just like, wow, those are awesome. I love those. And he was like, I could do that. And he made his own pattern.
It's pretty, it's pretty popular in general. You'll see it in the street, not a lot, but it's popular. It's out there. And there's a bunch of different designs. There's a bunch of different labels who are putting it out there. So I wanted ours to be really reflective of the trend. And so if you take a closer look at the articles that are on the print, you'll see that there's like Elizabeth Taylor, Jay-Z and Beyonce on page 6. There's a Parisian, there's one from the Parisian Times in Paris. There's some Hollywood Reporter, so it's supposed to, stand out as a trend.
All the trendy newspaper magazines or newspaper articles. With page 6, like you said, Hollywood Reporter, it's awesome.
And
I love it.
And then the kicker is the high-waisted cinch waistline. So that we worked like overtime to create that this waistline that sort of cinches in the midsection for the ladies who may feel that they want that or they need it, or it really makes you feel comfortable.
I think it's just awesome. It holds in your love handles. It holds in that little gut that we all seem to get after the age of 40, but it just supports you and it's firm. It's good for your thighs. My friend, she just ordered a pair to work out in, so you can use it for anything. It's great support. The high waist is really good for also the winter coming up, so it's keeps you warm.
Actually, well, I can't wait to get my Trendstar piece.
Yeah.
We got to get you out of here.
But I like the fact that you're featuring the news by being the news. And I think that is a great image to put forth. You're making the news.
There you go.
by even wearing it. So that's the way I see it from
I
the
love that.
Yeah,
Yes,
awesome.
read all about it. It's our signature line. It's the first style for Trendstar, but we have so many different things coming out because some people may not like, newspaper print. So I'm like, hey, we got some solids coming out. We got some tartan ready for the holidays, nice plaid.
Oh, I can't wait. I can't wait.
That
We
one's
can't
a big
wait to
hit.
watch this space. The Global Advocate Career Podcast loves Trendstar.
That's right. Thank you.
Thank you.
And thank everybody else too for supporting. Even people even if you don't buy something, if you checked out the website or Instagram and you liked it and you just put positive energy into the universe, we're grateful for that.
Yeah, just follow us.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely,
share.
Daniel. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, there's a part of my show called Wait, What? Where I feature some interesting questions, hoping to elicit some interesting responses. Do you guys have a sec for the wait?
Yeah, let's go.
All right.
Wait, what?
Daniel, what is your best accent?
Oh, the best accent I have is a Jamaican. Sometimes you can't talk Nigerian, but if you do a Jamaican accent, we'll win it every time.
Oh, that's pretty good. How about you, Josephine?
Ooh. I've been told, I don't know. Some people think I'm Caribbean. They think I have a bit of a British accent. I'm not going to do one. But if I don't know you, sometimes if I say just a few words, I'm like, where are you from? Are you British? Are you, like one time I think I said it softly. I said good. And they thought I said good with a T. Good with a D. But because if you don't hear me and I'm just meeting you, people just seem to think I have a British accent.
Okay. Well, I was reading in your more extended bio that you went to Catholic school. So did I. So that may explain why you're so eloquent in your pronunciations, because it wasn't tolerated otherwise, right?
They won't have it any other way, right? They just pull yourself right away. The first day of Catholic school, they were like, excuse me? What was that word? I'm from Philly. The way my mom speaks, yeah, I had to get that corrected in school. She was paying, right? Her and my dad were paying for my pronunciation of things.
Absolutely. Okay, in thinking about a song, what's a good theme song that represents your life right now?
Oh, well, one of mine, the favorite for me is September, the Earth, Wind, and Fire.
Oh, that's a nice one. Why?
Yeah, for a couple of reasons. Because she had got these tickets to the Apollo, so we got to see them.
Working there. Right?
Yeah, so we got to see them, and they did that song, and we were in the front row. September, my birthday, a couple of weeks ago, and then we got married on my birthday in September last year. So that's whenever, and plus, it's such a fun song. So whenever it comes on, it brings it all home for me.
That is a great song.
So wait a minute, Daniel. So you guys got married, but we were married, remember?
Yeah.
Oh, that's so funny.
Yeah.
For those listeners, Daniel and I worked together on a theater production. And we
did the Blacks, right? The Black family.
Yes. That was fun. That's when we met, actually.
Yeah.
Josephine, what about you? What's your favorite theme song?
Oh boy, gosh, I'm so bad. I'm so indecisive. It's such a bad characteristic. It's hard for me to pick one because I love so many things. So I'm gonna have to say his because because right now it's September and all those good things he mentioned. His birthday, our first year anniversary, and that's a great song. So yeah.
Well, happy belated birthday, Daniel, and happy anniversary to both of you.
Thank you very much. Let me tell you a story. I don't know if I've ever told you this. You may know. So when we were doing the play,
yes.
Remember Shawnice was pregnant.
Yes, I do remember Shawnice, of course.
Okay, so there's a scene where you and Shawnice are sitting on the couch, and it was about the crib. The baby crib.
Yes, I remember that. Yes.
Yeah, and so I had went backstage from the scene before, and somehow, I don't know how, I forgot that we were the next scene, right? Mm-hmm. And so I was taking off my clothes to try to change for whatever scene I had in my mind, and then the stage went quiet.
Oh no.
Because I'm supposed to be out there.
Oh.
So the director is like, yo, get out there. And I have my shirt half off And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm in the next scene, not this scene. And they're like,
That's
no,
so funny.
get out there now. And I can hear it's quiet.
Oh no.
So I'm like, oh man. So then I'm like, what's my line? What's the line?
He was all discombobulated.
And everybody's just looking at me like, huh? Like, and I'm like, what's my line? What's my line? And they're just looking at me. She's like, get out there. So I was like, man.
Do you remember that?
I remember that it was an introduction to working in theater and how well Daniel was in terms of support, you know.
But let me tell you what happened.
Please.
So I go out there. You guys are sitting out there. It's been quiet for however long because you're waiting for me. And I go out there and I don't know my line. Like I'm trying to think in my head, and only thing I'm getting is like a black chalkboard. And I'm like,
drawing a blank, huh?
So I just start talking about Jackie Wilson because that's what the character was talking about.
Yeah.
It's like Jackie Wilson, he'll do a split. He does this and this and that. So you and Shanice are looking at me like, what the hell are you talking about? Yeah, what the what? Like, yeah. And I just keep going because I'm in my mind. I'm like, you guys got to save me because I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So I just keep talking about Jackie Wilson. Then finally, Shanice is like, Daddy, did you get the crib? Did you get the crib yet? And I was like, the crib? Yeah, the crib. It's like,
that's a good, wait, what?
Yeah. I'll never forget that. I'll never forget Shanice for that because she saved me.
She saved you.
I was waiting for somebody to say something because I was
like, what do they call the, you needed help.
But it's a great experience because that's what you need to do. And nobody ever taught me that, but that's what you need to do in theater
like that, right?
because the audience doesn't know. No.
That's right. So
I know the character. Remember, he talked about Jackie Wilson throughout the play. Yeah. That was his favorite because they brought it up. It was like, who's your favorite? He's like, oh, Jackie Wilson does the split. He does this and that. So I just went out there and started talking about Jackie Wilson. So
that was crazy. I remember that actually. I remember the crib because Shanice was pregnant. She was actually really pregnant in real life. Yeah. So they really worked it well.
She's on her third. She's on her third one, I think.
Is she?
Yeah, she's on her third one. The little girl is grown. That girl is about 7 or 8 years old, I think.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. Josephine, what model do you admire the most?
Gosh. Well, it's changed, obviously. But when I first started, I would say it was both Tyra and Naomi. And it was funny because when I started, Tyra was just becoming famous. And Naomi had the reputation of being a bitch, whatever, but I still loved her. And people would always call me Naomi, and I thought it was odd because I thought I would think more like Tyra, but I was still honored to be compared to any of them. But yeah, so those two were my absolute favorite when I started. I'll never forget when Tyra had her CoverGirl ad with the raisin lipstick. Oh,
I remember that.
So much. Yeah,
I remember.
And I admire her now. She's really taken it to a whole nother. She's iconic. She's amazing. And modeling was nothing. Like she's so big now. That was just like a little start for her. Like now she's just a super iconic person in the world, not just fashion, right? Television,
absolutely.
Everything. She's the best. But I do have new favorite ones because of my daughter. I'm trying to break her in. She's only 15. She'll be 16 of that next month. Okay. And of course I'm having deja vu because I was 16 when I started.
Yes.
And unlike her, I didn't have guidance. And she doesn't even want to do it. Of course not, because I want her to. But, you know, when it comes to money, she's like, well, maybe, because she knows she's going to need money for the gas in her car, right? So, turning 16. But I do like Yasmin. Well, I never know how to say her last name.
Brunette? Yasmin Brunette?
No. She's new. She's young. She's probably 20.
She Brazilian?
No, she's from, why am I like drawing a blank when I'm a huge fan of hers? Because I can't pronounce her last name. It's like Wonderboom. She's like Dutch. Oh. But she looks mixed race, and my daughter is. And also she looks like Mona Togard, I think her last name is. I don't know. I love these two girls because they look similar to my daughter, and they're established supermodels. And I'm like, oh, good. My daughter's coming right up behind them. Maybe she can fit in there because between the two of them, she looks like she could fit right in there comfortably with a similar look. And usually they like people that look similar when they're already established. So I would love if she could get up in there and start working. With my knowledge, I could really take her there because when I started, I didn't know the Black models had to go to Europe. And that's how you were building your portfolio. Sure. And right now I spoke to someone at the Society, which is like a huge agency, and they were saying that because of the COVID restrictions
Right.
in New York and the States, there's not much work. They were like, all the girls are living their best lives in Europe. So that's where, yeah, no, it's with, her last name is W.
Mm-hmm.
It's like Wind of something.
So my
I
last,
had the,
tell me.
oh, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, please.
I was just going to say I had the pleasure of meeting her because it was Yasmin. I think it was 2 years ago. I got to stand in because I'm a SAG. So they wanted union like 5'10" and up to walk for the Victoria's Secret fashion show. And we were just stand-ins, but I had to walk that runway. And it was just like, you know, it was just phenomenal. I can't even express how it felt. I had to wear the wings. I had to do the whole runway and wave at the camera. They have these great side cameras running up and down. I mean, their production was ridiculous. And that's probably why it was the last show, because they had 6 different sets and they had, you know, superstars singing. I got to meet Halsey and what was the young boy? I can't think of his name, but it was just an amazing experience. And the Kardashian was there. She had to walk, Kendall. Yeah. And they were all sweethearts. I got to meet all the Victoria's Secret supermodels. I had to take Adriana Lima's walk, her last walk, because she retired. Right. And I had to take her walk. And boy, that was just an honor.
So the last question I have for you both is, where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Yeah, so bi-coastal, probably tri-coastal. You know, with both the film production companies rolling, as well as the clothing line rolling. You know, we definitely want to. I definitely want to employ a lot of our people, people in need. It doesn't necessarily have to be all Black people, but I feel that the percentage of Black people in need is at about 80. So yeah, you know, like I like hiring people. I've been starting to do that, you know, contracts with people. So I want to give people opportunity, but truly underrepresented people, because we're hearing that a lot, that these companies are helping underrepresented people, but I don't know who they're helping, because I know a lot of underrepresented people and they're not getting help. So I know, I'm talking about from the grassroots, the people that need the real help, not the stuff that these corporations are saying that they're doing, because I haven't seen it at all. Maybe they are, but I haven't seen it. Our people are not getting the help that they need. So we just want to give people who are like us, if you're hungry and you're not the most talented, but you know, you really want to try to,
drive, determination.
Yeah, we want to help those people by giving them opportunities.
Yeah.
That's fantastic. Josephine, did you want to add to that?
No, I agree with him 100%. I love the path that he wants to take. I'm happy to take it with him. I'm really honored to give opportunities to our people. That means a lot to me. And yeah, I think it's going to make a change. I think we need to make a change. And I think that's the start, helping each other. A lot of other cultures, they come together and help. It's good for them that they have it worked out. We were kind of divided when we first came over, our people. So it's okay, because we can learn from that and we can make a change, and that's what we're going to do. And I'm excited about
I know you guys are, and I'm honored to have both of you on the Global Advocate Career Podcast.
And we're honored to be.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you for what you're doing. You're doing an awesome job. It's a privilege to watch you and catch up with you. I don't get to catch all of your stuff, but I've caught a few of your interviews, and it's really good. And the guests that you've had on, we're honored to be amongst that list of people.
Yes, we are.
Thank you.
We're happy to see you doing your thing.
Thank you. It's my pleasure, and I just can't wait. I mean, when you guys get to where you are, and watching you grow, you know, following you on social media, I wish you both the best in all that you do. And will you come back to the Global Advocate Career Podcast? And
you will have
us,
for sure.
Yeah.
We can't wait to share like our production and everything else that hopefully comes to be.
Anytime.
To
if you you know, we can go live from some of our locations.
I would love that. We could totally do an Instagram live. So let's plan on that, okay? Keeping in mind your busy schedules and their tight ones. But absolutely. Again, many blessings to you both. It's such a pleasure. let us know how things are going. And we know that Trendstar is on social media, right? We know we can follow you both on social media, right? Danielson, right? Your name is your first name and your last name, Daniel.
Yeah. So actually, I think my Instagram is reversed. It's Danielson Daniel.
Yeah, and I'm JJT 1013. Don't ask. I guess Josephine was taken.
JJT
1013.
1013. Got it. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Well, thank you, Josephine Webb Danielson. Thank you, Danielson, for being here. Thank you, dear viewers and dear listeners. Until next time.
Thank you all. God bless.